Alright, let's get our hands dirty with one of the most frustrating mysteries of modern life, the traffic jam. We've all been there, stuck in a seemingly endless line of cars going nowhere fast. But what's really happening? To bust this myth, we need to think of traffic not as a collection of individual cars, but as a fluid, like water flowing through a pipe. When the road is wide open and there are only a few cars, everyone can cruise at the speed limit. Each car has plenty of space around it, a nice big safety bubble. It's like a lazy river. Everything just drifts along smoothly. This is what engineers call free-flow traffic, and it's the dream, right? But what happens when you start adding more cars to this river? The system starts to get a little more crowded. The space between cars shrinks, and drivers have to be more aware of their surroundings. You can't just cruise without a care in the world anymore. The speed might dip just a little, but for the most part, everyone is still moving along pretty well. This is the sweet spot, where the road is being used efficiently without being overwhelmed. Now let's push it further. We keep adding cars, one after another, cramming them onto the same stretch of asphalt. That safety bubble around each vehicle gets smaller and smaller until it's almost gone. Drivers become more cautious, their reaction times shorten, and they instinctively slow down to create more space. This is the tipping point. The river of cars becomes thick, like molasses. The overall speed of every single car on that road begins to drop significantly. So we know that too many cars can clog a road. But often the jam isn't spread out evenly, it's caused by a specific problem spot. Let's line up the usual suspects, starting with the biggest offender, the bottleneck. A bottleneck is exactly what it sounds like, a point where the road narrows, squeezing the flow of traffic. Imagine a 4-lane highway suddenly shrinking to 2 lanes for a bridge or a tunnel. Next up is the most predictable jam of all, rush hour. This is a bottleneck of time, not space. Twice a day, in the morning and the evening, a massive number of people all try to use the same roads at the exact same time to get to and from work. Our road systems, which might be perfectly adequate for most of the day, are suddenly overwhelmed by this concentrated flood of vehicles. It's a classic case of demand exceeding supply. Then we have the disruptors, the unexpected events that throw a wrench in the works. An accident is the most obvious one. When cars collide, they can block one or more lanes, creating an instant impassable barrier. But it's not just the physical obstruction. There's also the gaper's block or rubbernecking effect, where drivers in the other, clear lanes slow down to look at the scene. Finally, let's not forget the humble traffic light. These signals are designed to manage flow at intersections, but they can also be the source of major frustration. A poorly timed light can stop a long platoon of cars on a major artery just to let 1 or 2 cars out from a side street. When these signals aren't synchronized with each other, they create a start-stop wave that prevents traffic from ever getting into a smooth rhythm. This is one of my favorite traffic phenomena because it's so counterintuitive. I call it the phantom jam. You're stuck in stop-and-go traffic for what feels like an eternity. You inch forward, you stop, you inch forward again. Finally, the traffic clears up, and you get back to full speed. But as you drive on, you look for the cause. The accident, the stalled car, the police officer, and there's nothing. The jam just disappeared. It was a ghost. So, was it all in your head? Absolutely not. You were a victim of a phantom jam, and we can prove how it happens with science. These jams are born from a single tiny action that creates a massive ripple effect. Imagine a highway with cars moving at a steady speed, all fairly close together. Now, one driver up ahead, let's call them patient zero, taps their brakes for just a second. Maybe they thought they saw something, or maybe the car in front of them slowed down momentarily. The driver behind them sees the brake lights and reacts by braking a little harder, just to be safe. The driver behind them does the same, braking even harder still. This is the start of a shockwave. This wave of braking moves backward through the line of traffic. And here's the crazy part. It moves slower than the cars themselves. Each successive driver reacts slightly later and brakes slightly more aggressively than the one before. Within a few dozen cars, that initial gentle tap of the brakes has amplified into a full-on stop. The cars at the front of this wave are forced to a complete standstill, even though the original cause is miles ahead and long gone. What's truly fascinating is that this traffic jam is now a self-sustaining entity. As cars at the front of the jam are finally able to accelerate away, new cars arriving at the back are forced to slam on their brakes. Japanese researchers have demonstrated this perfectly in experiments with a circle of cars. It's a ghost in the machine. We've looked at the physics and the infrastructure, but now it's time to look in the mirror. When it comes to making traffic jams worse, the biggest variable, the most unpredictable element, is us. Human behavior is the secret sauce that can turn a minor slowdown into total gridlock. Our instincts and decisions, often made in a split second, have huge consequences for everyone else on the road. We are not just in the traffic jam, we often are the traffic jam. Let's start with one of the most common behaviors: aggressive lane changing. You see a lane next to you that seems to be moving slightly faster, so you dart into it. A few moments later, your old lane speeds up, so you swerve back. This constant weaving doesn't actually get you there much faster, as studies have shown. What it does do is cause other drivers around you to hit their brakes to let you in. Each of those brake taps sends a small shockwave backward, disrupting the flow of not one but two lanes of traffic. Then there's the issue of following distance. Driving too closely to the car in front of you, or tailgating, is a recipe for a phantom jam. When you're right on someone's bumper, you have zero margin for error. The instant they touch their brakes, you have to slam on yours. This overreaction is what amplifies those small slowdowns into full-blown stops. If every driver left a proper 3-second gap, traffic could flow much more like an accordion. And of course, we have to talk about distraction. In the modern car, we are surrounded by things competing for our attention, changing the music, checking the navigation, glancing at a text message. Every moment your eyes are off the road is a moment you're not reacting to the flow of traffic. When the car in front of you starts moving, there's a delay before you notice and start accelerating. This delay cascades backward, so the 20th car in line takes much longer to start moving than the first. It's easy to blame other drivers or a single accident, but sometimes the road itself is the villain. The very design of our cities and road networks can be inherently flawed, creating traffic jams by default. We have in many ways built cities that are perfectly engineered to produce gridlock. It's a problem baked right into the concrete and asphalt. For decades, the prevailing wisdom was that to solve congestion, you just needed to build more roads, or add more lanes to existing ones. But we've run that experiment, and the results are it doesn't work. This phenomenon is called induced demand. It's a simple but powerful concept. When you increase the supply of something, people will use more of it. When a city widens a highway from 6 lanes to 10, the commute might get easier for a short while. But soon, people who used to take public transit, or who drove at off-peak hours, or even who lived closer to work, see that the new highway is faster. The design of our intersections also plays a massive role. A standard 4-way intersection with traffic lights is a major point of conflict. It forces streams of traffic to take turns, creating built-in stops. In contrast, modern roundabouts have been shown to improve traffic flow by up to 80%. By keeping cars moving, even slowly, they avoid the stop-start waves that traditional intersections generate. Ultimately, a big part of the problem is our over-reliance on the personal automobile. Our cities, especially in North America, were largely designed around the car. This has led to urban sprawl, where homes, workplaces, and shops are so far apart that driving is the only practical option. When a city offers robust, reliable, and convenient public transportation, like subways, light rail, or dedicated bus lanes, it gives people a viable alternative. Every person who chooses to take a train or a bus is one less car on the road. For a long time, our only tools to fight traffic were concrete and traffic cops. But now, we're in the middle of a technological revolution that's giving us a whole new arsenal. We're finally building the tools to make our roads smarter, not just bigger. These aren't futuristic fantasies. Many of these solutions are being tested and deployed in cities around the world right now. The cavalry in this case is made of sensors, algorithms, and processors. One of the most promising technologies is smart traffic light systems. Instead of running on simple timers, these networks use sensors, cameras, and artificial intelligence to see what's actually happening on the road. They can detect how many cars are waiting in each direction and adjust the timing of the lights in real time. These systems can even communicate with each other to create green waves, synchronizing lights along a whole corridor so that a platoon of cars can travel for miles without ever hitting a red light. Then there's the big one: autonomous vehicles. Self-driving cars have the potential to be the ultimate traffic busters. Why? Because they can eliminate the human error and unpredictability that cause so many jams. A network of communicating autonomous cars could drive much closer together, safely, at higher speeds. They could coordinate their movements to merge like a zipper, with perfect efficiency. By acting as a cohesive, coordinated system instead of a bunch of competing individuals, they could dramatically increase the capacity of our existing roads. We're also getting smarter about the economics of traffic. This leads to ideas like congestion pricing, which has been successfully implemented in cities like London and Singapore. The concept is simple. You charge drivers a fee to enter the most congested parts of a city during peak hours. This encourages people to reconsider their trip. Maybe they can take public transit, travel at a different time, or carpool instead. It uses market forces to manage demand, reducing the number of cars on the road when and where it matters most. So, after digging through the science, the psychology, and the engineering of traffic, it can feel a bit overwhelming. The problem is massive, complex, and woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. It's easy to feel pessimistic, to resign yourself to a future of endless gridlock. But I'm an optimist, and I believe that's the wrong takeaway. The key lesson here is that traffic jams are not an unavoidable fact of life, like rain or gravity. They are a problem created by a system, and systems can be redesigned, re-engineered, and improved. The path forward isn't about finding one single magic bullet. Instead, the solution will be a combination of all the things we've talked about. It involves smarter city planning that encourages denser, mixed-use communities where you don't need to drive everywhere. And it absolutely involves embracing the new technologies that are giving us unprecedented power to manage our roads intelligently. What gives me the most hope is the shift in thinking. For the first time, we have the data to truly understand the dynamics of traffic flow. Researchers, engineers, and city planners can now model, simulate, and test solutions in the digital world before ever pouring a yard of concrete. We're moving from an era of brute force construction to an era of intelligent, data-driven optimization. We are learning to treat our road networks less like a series of dumb pipes, and more like a sophisticated circulatory system that needs to be actively and intelligently managed for the health of the entire city. The road ahead will have its bumps, for sure. Adopting new technologies and changing long-standing habits takes time, but the experiments are already underway. From smart signals in Pittsburgh to congestion pricing in Stockholm, we are seeing real-world proof that we can make a difference. The future of our cities depends on our ability to solve this puzzle. The goal is not just to move cars more efficiently, but to create cities that are more livable, sustainable, and connected for everyone. And that's a build worth getting excited about. The myth that we are doomed to be stuck in traffic forever, I think we can officially call that one busted.